Hello everyone, welcome to Kyzer and the Voices. I'm Kyzer Acheron, and today we're going to be taking a special behind-the-scenes look at how I record and edit my Let's Plays. For this behind-the-scenes video, I'm going to go over the recording process, the vocal effects process, the video editing process, adding special video effects, as well as end cards. So let's get started with the basics, recording. So in order to record a Let's Play, I use Bandicam. It's the easiest program to use, and it has multiple functions for different gameplay styles. For typical game recordings, I use game recording mode. I'd like to show you, but sadly I can't, because if I try to, I get this prompt. I ain't gonna do that. So, what I'm gonna show you instead are the settings I use for recording both the desktop audio and my mic audio. So it's important to take note of what I have as my primary and secondary devices. For the primary sound device, you want to make sure it is your default sound device. In this case, for me, it's my computer speakers. This means that it'll pick up anything on the desktop. And when I say anything, I do mean anything. So if I have Discord open and all of a sudden I get a message from Discord, it'll show up in the recording. As evidence in the Undertale Let's Play, when I kept getting Discord messages towards the end. Thanks a lot, Discord! Or picking up my friend's audio when we're on group call. This is how I am able to record their voices. I'll have them on call and they'll be doing co-commentary with me, while I do main commentary on my secondary sound device, which will be my main microphone, the AT 2020 USB Plus. Now, whatever your microphone is, your main microphone, use that as your secondary sound device. Also, a very important thing, save audio tracks while recording. This is how we are going to do vocal effects later on. Now, as you can see, when you record and you're done recording something, you will have 3 files if you do this method. You'll have the video file, which is basically all the visuals. You'll have the first audio file, which is the desktop audio, and you'll have the second audio file, which is your microphone audio. For the purposes of vocal effects, I'll be using Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator's second audio file to demonstrate vocal effects. So let's get to that. So what you want to do is, once you have all this stuff recorded, you want to import it into Audacity. Now, depending on your computer, this could take a few seconds, so pretty much just wait it out, and once it's up, you can start editing. Now, again, it all varies from computer to computer, so in my case, it takes about 20, maybe 30 seconds, depending on how large the file is. 30-minute videos usually take less, thank God. And we are just about done. Okay, so as you can see here, it's a bit of a mess. So as you can see, there's a lot of peaking here. This episode got a little bit rowdy. Mettaton will definitely be enjoying that particular episode, I'll say that much. So as you can see with all these peaks, it's gonna get really loud, and with the effect I have, I worry about how it'll handle on some people's ears. So what I like to do in this instance is I like to go to Effect, and I like to compress based on peaks. So that way it's not as loud. And since I'm compressing an entire 30-minute audio file, it takes a bit. Because what it's doing is it's going through and it's cutting the audio based on its peaking frequencies. Now, as someone who's studying audio, this is actually a good thing because it makes sure all the highs where I scream are actually more audible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a small cut here for once it's done compressing, and we'll be right back. And look at that audio file now. It is nice and compressed and everything is nice and smooth. And this will show in the audio quality later on. But that's not what we're here for. We're here for special effects. So let's get to that. So, as I said, this is Mettaton's video, so I'm going to be focusing primarily on him. However, I will show King Dice just as a special gift. So, let's just edit the intro to Mettaton's video. Spoiler warning, it's going to get raunchy.
Oh, yes, darlings. Welcome back to Mettaton Plays Dream Daddy. It is I, the fabulous Mettaton, here to serve your every wish and whim.
I'd say that's a decent, raunchy intro for him. So, as you can see, it has no effect. So what do? I select what I want to get his special robot voice, and then I go to Echo. Now, the settings you're seeing are what I have been using for Mettaton since I started doing his voice on P-Shotic Productions. I have not changed these settings once. That's how much I love this voice. So all we gotta do is click OK, and there you go.
Oh, yes, darlings. Welcome back to Mettaton Plays Dream Daddy. It is I, the fabulous Mettaton, here to serve your every wish and whim.
Now, I have to do this for the entire audio project. This means going through all 30 minutes of this audio, finding where Mettaton speaks, and adding this effect. That's gonna take a while if I try to do it here in this video, and it'll go on forever. So, for the purposes of this video, that is all I'm gonna demonstrate, because I don't want to keep you here all freaking day. However, if you would like to watch me edit on live stream someday, let me know. I'm genuinely curious to see if you guys would be into that. Anyways, I'm going to undo the effect, and I'm going to show you what I do for King Dice. In this instance, it's more about the EQ, or equalization in this case. So, with equalizing, you just want to choose what matches in terms of the hertz. So I already have a specific setting for King Dice, so that's what I do. It's sort of low in the beginning, but it peaks up in the middle and then goes low again in the highs. What this does is it creates that sort of speaker effect that King Dice is known for. So if we take a listen.
Oh, yes, darlings. Welcome back to Mettaton Plays Dream Daddy.
Yeah. Now you can see how King Dice has his luscious voice. Now, what about the devil? How do I get that booming voice? Well, similar process. Well, sort of similar. But what I like to do in this case is I actually do a bit of pitch shifting. I'm not proud of it, but to get his booming effect, you need to do it. So what I do is I lower the main pitch 20%, negative 20 to be specific. And this is what it sounds like to put Mettaton's voice in negative 20.
Yes.
Nope, not even gonna do that. Okay, so now that his voice has been lowered by 20%, what I like to do is I add reverb. This gives it that booming effect, that sort of deep bellow that the devil is known for. Now, obviously, it doesn't match Mettaton very well.
Yes, darlings.
But still, that's how you get that particular effect. So this is what I do in terms of vocal audio effects. Now, moving on to the next topic of debate, video editing itself, and this is where it gets fun. So I'll meet you there. And we are back. Okay, so I use Wondershare Filmora for video editing. However, I do have Vegas 14. I'm just more used to Filmora's simple format. So what I do is I select full feature mode. You have an easy mode, but to be honest, it's not even worth mentioning. So click full feature mode. What will happen is you will be taken to the editing window. This is where all of the tools of the trade are going to be open to you. And believe me, for a program this cheap and this simple, they're with. It is unbelievable. Okay. So, right off the bat, you're probably looking at this like, what? This is a bit complicated, don't you think? Well, it's not as complicated as you may seem. Ugh, what happened there? Okay, so what we have here on the left-hand side are the different files that I've created for different projects, along with a main album, which I've dropped some random sound effects here and there. So, if we scroll down, you can see every single project file that I make has its own separate folder. This is good because I can keep track of where everything is. So, in this case, I'm going to use the next episode of A Hat in Time to demonstrate how I add frames, how I do zooms, and all the other little effects you see in my videos. So, new file, and what we do is we name it A Hat in Time Part 5. Also, to whoever was on Tumblr, congratulations! Your audio is in this recording. See? Told you this thing picked it up. It's powerful. Anyways, now that we have the Hat in Time file ready to go on Filmora, we need to get the game. So in this case, go to the Owner, Documents, and Bandicam to collect your recording. In this case, collect all 3 of the files created, and just drag and drop. Now you can do the regular import files, which will basically just take you to this, so I figure the drag and drop is a lot easier. Okay, so now that the game's files are here, what you do is you select the video file and your mic audio file, and then you click this plus sign, and boom! It is right there on the timeline, which is awesome. Now, this same process is how we're gonna add in the icon frames. Now, Oofy was a dear to make these icons for me, not only Mugman, but also Papyrus and myself. Now, I haven't put myself in this video because, like I said, this is more behind the scenes look at things, and I want to show the process. But to give you an idea of how many frames I have just for Mugman alone, it's quite a few. And honestly, I couldn't be happier with it because these little icons give the Let's Play more personality, and I could not be happier with it. So, as you can see here, we have about 17 faces for dear old Muggy. I have yet to use this one because I haven't had a situation where he just walks away. But these are the faces of our dear Muggo. So what you want to do here, in my case, is just select these, drag, drop! And now they are all in that file for A Hat in Time Part 5. So, essentially what I do now is, very tediously, listen to the entire video file and place the frames in.
You know, a space station would be such tedious work, but it's so huge! Oh, right, intro.
So, he sounds rather excited and happy in those first couple of seconds, right? So, the face that I would use in this instance would be the idle face. Because look at that happy face! So what I do is I drag and drop it into the second video part of the timeline, and yeah, it's pretty big. So what I do is I move it towards the corner, and then I grab the bottom left corner and I start sizing it. Now, this first frame is important because this frame is going to determine the size of all the other frames. So I want to make sure it's nice and balanced, not too big, not too small. So basically, once it's perfectly sized, I move on to the other ones once the emotions change. So let's see if it syncs up.
You know,
Nope, it's a bit too early. In fact, way too early. So what do I do here? I move it. And I just keep moving it until it's at that right position. No, not quite.
You know,
There we go. Huh, third time's the charm. So then I just let it play out.
a space station would be such tedious work, but it's so huge!
Alright. So we move it a little bit further until the big change in emotion,
Right,
which would be right about here, more or less. So just move that over here.
right, intro.
Oh, almost. You see, this is the tedious part of doing this particular editing style, is that you have to make sure that when the emotion changes, it is like right on the moment. So what I do is I zoom like so. I put my cursor to the top of the timeline and I just stretch it. Now you can obviously do it the other way too and zoom it right the frick back in. It's kind of weird doing it like this. Ugh, you can get dizzy doing this. So I just zoom it in and I keep moving until it is just right.
Right,
Alright, now that it is, we need to select the next frame. So in this case, he's like surprised. So that's the emotion we're gonna go with. I'm only gonna do a few frames just so this doesn't go on for a long time. So anyways, like I said, gotta move this to the side and just resize it. Now, what I like to do to make sure that it's consistent is I go back to the original frame and I base the next frame size on that first frame. Now bear in mind, getting it just right is tricky, because watch.
right, intro.
See, it looks like it'll match on the second one,
Right.
but then the frame itself is a lot bigger. So I just keep on sizing it, keep on shrinking it,
Right,
until the face itself, the transition, is seamless.
oh, right,
Oh dear, seems I've made a bit of a mistake.
oh, right, intro.
Alright, so let's move this back a bit.
right.
Nope.
Oh,
Right here. This is where it starts.
oh,
No, it's not. Just a little bit more. See, like I said, this is both the fun and pain of this editing style, is making sure it all adds up in post. But honestly, I don't mind the work. This just means that I get to give you guys a better product. So let's see if it syncs up now.
work. But it's so huge. Oh,
Almost. That frame is just slightly too big, I'd like to say.
you know,
Let's see. Was it too big or too small?
oh,
Because that can happen too. It can be slightly small. So you just gotta be very meticulous about this. Honestly, sizing is like doing neurosurgery. You gotta be very precise with it.
huge. Oh, right.
There we go. Now, as you can see, the face is more like it's being animated instead. So next is going to be the howdy fellas that he says before the beginning of every video.
Howdy, fellas.
See? So in this case,
Howdy.
alright, that was definitely a higher pitched one than I'm used to. So when I want to get to a specific moment and I don't want to keep clicking, what I do is I press the arrow keys and I move second by second so that way I can find the exact moment where that vocal change happens. I'm going to guess that it's at 8:03. I'm going to make a cut just to be safe.
Howdy, fellas.
No, it's not at 3. So I undo with Control Z. Control Z is your friend. Get used to using that button. So let's go back again. Let's see. It wasn't 8:03, so let's try 8:02. Is that where it is? Now, given that it's a 3D game, this makes Filmora go a little slower when it comes to pressing left and right on the arrow keys. But that's to be expected with some games. Alright, let's try 2.
Howdy, fellas.
There we go. That's where the change takes place. So I delete the rest of that file, but don't fret. The good thing about having these frames sized already is that later on in the timeline, say about 5 or 10 minutes in, I can just go back to here, hit Control C to copy, and then paste. So I only have to size it once. The rest is just copy pasting, thank God, because if I did have to resize it for every single moment, I'd be here all day. And bear in mind, these videos are usually about 30 minutes long. So yeah. In any case, let's drop in the welcome face. Just look at that happy little guy. Isn't he cute? Anywho, let's just size him up. And let's see, does it match?
Oh, right. Intro. Howdy, fellas.
It does. Thankfully on first try, which makes that a lot easier in post. Now, this is another important thing about video editing. Save constantly. And as you can see, I have a lot of projects that have been done. I like to delete them after, like, it's gathered a bunch, because this does take up space on your computer. Also, hi nerd! I just saw you pop up! Small shout out because you literally popped up on my screen. Good luck. I know you're fighting Dr. Call right now. Anywho, so I'm gonna name this Mugman Plays a Hat in Time Part 5, just so I can find it later. Now, you want to save after every little edit, because as with any program, it can randomly crash. And the last thing you want is to get very far in your editing and then have it suddenly crash. Now, thankfully, Filmora has a failsafe in which if it does crash, it picks up where you left off. But just save every time you make an edit, just to be on the safe side. So, continuing on.
Mugman here, and welcome back to Mugman Plays a Hat in Time. So,
Alright, so about here is where that ends.
So,
No, almost. Cut here.
so,
That's more like it. Okay. So I'm going to put one more face down just to pretty much round out everything. And in this case, I am going to use the trying face. You'll notice this one pop up a lot when he plays expert mode because this is sort of a balance between calm and slightly angry. Hi, honey. My fiance and I were talking about a class that she needs to, or wanted to take. Anyways, personal stuff, focus on the thing. Okay. So back to resizing. Gotta make sure it matches up the... Honey, I love you. Okay. Anywho, sorry about that. Oh, this is what happens when you go behind the scenes. Notifications pop up a lot on my computer, so I get distracted very easily. Anywho, so let's make sure this is all synced up.
Time. So...
It's slightly bigger. Gotta shrink it down. Shrink. Is it better now?
So...
Yes! Okay, so let's save. So, essentially the scene would play out like this.
You know, a space station would be such tedious work, but it's so huge! Oh, right, intro. Howdy, fellas! Mugman here, and welcome back to Mugman Plays A Hat in Time. So, last episode, we solved the murder on the Orient Express, and...
So, yeah, that's pretty much how I add the frames in for these character-based Let's Plays. Now, this also goes for myself. So basically, if it's me playing, I'll have myself propped up in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, or if Papyrus is playing, where Mugman is, that's where he's gonna be. And yes, look at these icons! They're everywhere! Ugh. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get to some special effects and text edits. Okay, so when it comes to Filmora's special effects, there's actually a lot to work with. You have different musics that you can have. It actually comes with preloaded music, so if you want to use something royalty-free that they provide, you can. Or you can add in your own music. Just be careful of that copyright infringement. You also have different text and credit sequences that you can use, based on opening sequences, for example. Or you can have end credit sequences, such as... Typically what I use for text-based things is I use Subtitle 1. Now, why do I use this? Because it's the most basic, and you can add in a lot of mileage with just some subtitles. So, it comes with pre-loaded text and black backgrounds, so what I do is I go in and edit this in advanced mode. So what you see here is just editing for text. So I'm going to get rid of the two black rectangles, and I'm going to get rid of the secondary text, and I'm just going to focus on the first text. Now, I'm not going to write anything specific. I'm just going to put, say, Mugman loves Kala. Simple enough. And I'm going to put it in the center of the screen. Now, the cool thing about Filmora is that it actually allows you to find the center of the screen so you can place it. Now, for Hat in Time videos, I usually use the Bangers font, which is located in B. Now, I use this one because it's the closest to the font that A Hat in Time uses, like closest to that style. And what I do is I add a golden color for the base, and I add a border color of purple. Now, I don't have the purple I need here, so I add more colors, and I find the darker, sort of lighter purple right here on the side. I like to select this particular purple because it's more in line with what we're looking for. And as you can see, it has that sort of appearance of a Hat in Time style. Now, the cool thing is you can change the size of the border to make it bigger or smaller. I usually like to go with a sort of 11, so that way it's noticeable but not overshadowing. So, with any text thing, you can resize it to make it bigger or smaller. You can make it bold, italicize it, but you can't underline it for some reason. I don't get that. But regardless, this is pretty much how you set it up.
So, last episode,
and you can also cut it to where you want it and all that stuff. Now, if I want to animate the text, that goes to the animation tab over here. So typically you'll see in end cards that I do is that I put like a fade effect. What I'll do is I'll have it slowly fade in, and then at the 2-second marker of, you know, where I have the end card, I'll have it fade out. So it'll look something like this.
So, last episode, we solved the murder on the Orient Express, and...
See? Or, in the case of A Hat in Time, I have a specific animation for when it goes to the end card. Now, if I could find that animation, that'd be great. No, that ain't it. Alright, it is this one, I believe. So, yeah, it pretty much comes in already. In this particular instance, though, like, you can't really edit that particular animation, so I'm going to undo all of that. So that's just for text. What about visual effects? What? No, that's not what I want. Okay. Actually, yes, that is what I want. Let's just get out of there. Okay, so we have the text in. Let's get rid of that. Goodbye. I'm gonna click. Okay, I have to click OK first. And goodbye. Now, for visual effects and overlays, I like to use a mix of the filters and overlays section. Now, you've probably noticed the chaotic shakes that Mugman gets when he gets angry. This is literally the name of that particular effect, chaos. So what I do is I'll prop that in over here.
So
and
last
as you can
episode,
see, it shakes like heck. But can we make it shake more? Yes, we can. You see, if I increase the frequency and I increase the positioning to max,
so
look at that shake!
We saw.
Oh, that's the fun part, is sometimes the visual effects can be very fun to work with. Okay, now, what if I'm doing something for, like, the end card? Like, at the end of Mugman Plays Cuphead. So, what I like to do is I like to go through the filters that I have, and I like to find a specific filter that reminds me of old film photo, like old films? I was about to say old film photo, I was like, what? Oh, don't say that. Okay. You can get lost in the different effects that you have, so pay attention to what you have. You never know when you're going to get lost in the void. So, in this instance, I think I'm in the wrong place. Let's go to overlays to see what we have here. Now, you'll notice that this particular overlay right away. This is the overlay I typically use for the end card of the Hat in Time videos. Fun fact, it was also the main end card effect that I used for when I first started Let's Playing. So let's scroll down, let's see if we can find, aha! So we have this particular film effect that is sort of like a nod and wink to film reels.
So last episode, we solved the murder.
So let's go back to our overlays and let's see if we can find something that gives it that sort of old-time film effect. Let's see. Ah, silent film. That's the one we were looking for. So let's just plop this in right next to the film overlay and look at what happens.
So last episode, we solved the murder on the...
It has a sort of old film reel style. But let's see if we can take that just one step further. Yeah, just one more step further. Let's see if we can find a sort of sepia tone colored film reel, or maybe even black and white. So that way we can really give it that classic effect. This is what I love about video editing in particular, is adding these effects just to make sure things are more thematic. So now that we found that, oh dear. Well, it looks like we won't be able to use more than two. So, when editing, make sure you have the two you have in mind. Otherwise, you're going to have a situation like this. But, if you add old film with the Willow theme...
So, last episode, we solved the...
It looks old school as heck. So, this is essentially most of the video editing stuff. Let's end this off with end cards. So, at the end of every Let's Play, I like to add a 22-second end card. The reason for this is because of YouTube's guidelines for adding in, you know, subscription things, video links, and all that stuff. So, for this particular end card, what I like to do is very simple. I go to the sample colors that I have, and I take the purple gradient. I drop that in. And since I don't have it here in this particular file, I have to scroll up to my other Hat in Time parts to find it. So in this case, nope, that is not the right one. Let's scroll up even further. Nope, that ain't the right one either. Where is that particular thing? Aha! There we go. This is what I'm looking for. The title music for A Hat in Time, because I actually have the soundtrack, and it's awesome. Okay. So, as you can see here, it's at 33:31:09. So, using math in my head, I count up to 20, which in this case would be 33:51, and then I count 2 seconds forward to 53. And I add one more extra second just on the off chance. I cut and then I snip. Then what I do is I resize the purple and I place it down to the exact same timeline as the music. What I also do is I add a 2-second fade out. So that way, when the track ends, it ends on that fade out. So now comes the part where I add in the overlay, which you've already seen is Make It So, which was included in one of the 80s packs, which I absolutely love. The 80s style is my absolute favorite. It is freaking cool. Neon lights, all that stuff. I'm a geek for the 80s. Anyways, so now that I've added that in, it's starting to seem more familiar as the end card you've come to know. But we're not done yet. Let's get that subtitle again. Extend it. Ah. Hi, Neon! Everyone's messaging me today. Holy moly. Yeah, that is Neon. You can see her awesome work on her channel. In any case, getting back to this. Don't want to get distracted. What I do is I then edit all this. Add thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. And I make sure that's all edited nice and neat. There's no spelling errors. And then I place that at the top of the video. And then, like I said, I look for the bangers font. Add in the gold border. No, not what I wanted. Click border. Add in that purple color from earlier. Boom. All right. And then what I like to do is I make sure that it's centered and it looks thematically correct. I then resize it to where it's big enough to see, but not too big that it obstructs the video or subscription icons. Because that's also important. You want to make sure the size of this text does not interfere with the video links or the subscription links that go in the description. So yeah. After that's said and done, I increase the size of the border so that way it's nice and defined. And yeah, then I add in the animation. So in this case, I have a specific animation that sort of flies in and then stretches to the side. Now I tend to forget which animation this is because, as you can see, there's a lot of them. So let's see if I can find it in this mess. I think I saw it earlier. No, that is not it. Where are you? It's this one. So basically, instead of doing the fly in and wait, it was literally right next to it. So this will fly in and then stretch across. And thankfully, in this case, it automatically fills in for the 2-second gap. So once all that is done, you have the end card. And at the end of that end card, now, some end cards are a lot more simple. Like, the one for Outlast was just a simple fade-in effect against a sort of gradient green. Or the one for Cuphead is a simple gradient orange with certain film effects. Basically, with every game, I like to get creative with how I do it, so no end card is the same. So in this case, this is the end card for A Hat in Time. But the end card for Dream Daddy could be different. Or the end card for, I would say, Super Meat Boy could be different. Everything is tailor-made to that Let's Play. And that's what makes this fun for me. It's not just that it is a lot of work. It's that it's work that I like to do because I like to fit the theme of what I'm working with. And with that, that is pretty much more or less how I edit my videos. I know that this went on for a while, and hopefully this isn't too boring, but yeah, no, I figured it was high time I showed you guys what went into all this, why I edit so frantically, why I put so much work into this, and why I'm thankful I'm doing it, you know, because this is fun for me. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's a brain buster, but I love it. I love every second of it, and I would not trade this in for the world, man. This is a great job to have, and I love it. So, thank you guys for watching up to this point. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment in the boxes below, letting me know what you think of my editing style, if I should change programs, you know, what I can do to make it better, let me know. Also, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm delving deeper into the madness that is my channel. Also, be sure to share this video around. I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering what sort of madness goes into making my videos. And with that, This is Kyzer Acheron, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!